Good evening to everyone. We will start. I present Maryam to you all. She's going to give the seminar to talk about from research ideas to publication, insight to developing scholarship, and engaging with international journal. Maryam is senior lecturer in the School of Accounting at the University of Melbourne. And she'll talk now with us, and after the presentation, we will open for so we can talk to her, ask questions, and exchange a bit. So, Maryam, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinicius. It's my honor actually to be here with you guys today and present about how to enhance the publication, starting from research idea to publication. So I'm here with my family, visiting Rio, beautiful city, and it's been such a pleasure to be here with you guys today. So if you have the slides, anytime during the presentation, you're welcome to ask any questions that you may have. So the whole idea is I share my experience. For those of you who don't know, I publish in multiple international journals, including Accounting, Auditing, Accountability, AAAJ. I also publish in European Accounting Review, Accounting and Finance, another higher-ranked journal, QRAM. I'm also serving as an editor for Issues in Accounting Education journal, and also serve as a reviewer as ad hoc reviewer for many journals as well. So in today's actually discussion, I would like to basically share my experience as author, reviewers, and editor. Hopefully you find it useful. If you have any question at any time, please feel free to ask your questions. And hopefully at the end of the presentation, I'm also happy to answer your questions as well. If we go to the next slide. Not sure if it's working. All right. So we start from the research idea, what would be the best or how we can actually start the research from gathering the research idea. And then we move to refining from the idea to the research question, how we formulate the research question to have success for publication. We discuss the importance of understanding the journals that we kind of want to submit the paper to. We also move to what high-ranked journals value. So what are the key factors that we need to take into consideration when we want to submit a paper to a journal? Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. What are the common mistakes that as an author we could make and try to avoid it? I would like to share some good scholarly practices that enhance the success for publication. We review briefly the publication process to share my basically experience as an editor from the other side when we receive the journals and what we want to see in a paper. Editorial perspective, we're going to summarize do's and don'ts, basically what we should do and what we should avoid to do in order to enhance the publication. Emerging opportunity, I would like to emphasize on the importance of the special issues that basically gonna link to the research ideas, because the special issues basically provide you with the area that they want you to focus or they want to receive the publications. There are very good opportunities, but also some of the emerging opportunities related to the registration-based editorial process that we actually offer in issues in accounting education. And then we close with some key takeaways. Sources of ideas. Probably all of us know that in our papers, when we want to have a successful paper, we've been told that what is the research gap, how we add to the literature. how we're going to extend the prior literature. It's something that we hear a lot, and how we can actually. So in today's presentation, I would like to focus on societal challenges that give us really good idea about the successful areas that we actually can focus. In the next few slides, I'm going to share my own experience of the research that I've done and then share with you what are those ideas coming from, in addition to the special issues that give you directions of the type of research they want to see. Also, societal challenges give us really good basically topics for investigation, because generally high-ranked journals, they want to contribute to the debates, the public debates. Everyone will be talking about it, and they want to see and receive some high-ranked journals in that area. For example, there was lots of discussion recently related to the gender diversity, the policy discussions that's happening in that area. Myself, I had like 3 publications in that area. We're going to discuss the focus and how we make it successful as well. Also, COVID-19 presented a new challenge for lots of businesses, and lots of journals wanted to see some publication in that area as well. That said, the journals receiving hundreds and hundreds of papers from the same area. So the next step is going to be how we're going to enhance the chance of publication, how we're going to stand out among all those publications, among all those articles that being received by editors. Recently, I had a chat with an editor of another high-ranked journal, and for example, we all know that climate change is another big challenge and debates that's happening like around the world, because there is a sustainability standards coming out, and everyone wants to know the directions, the impact of the climate change reporting, and seeing the issue from multiple dimensions. This editor basically saying that in the last few months, like 5 or 6 times, they received like 100 papers all around climate reporting and sustainability reporting, focusing on the climate reporting. So the question here is going to be how we're going to stand out and enhance the chance of publication. Basically, I need to focus that lots of my current, like recent publications, they focus on qualitative research, lots of qualitative approach. Having said that, lots of discussion that we're going to have today, we can actually link it to the quantitative as well as we go. Again, if you have any questions or you want to unpack some aspect of it, just let me know as we go. Related to enhancing the chance of publication, critical discussion and critical perspective to the idea or research domain is very important. There are social constructionism, postmodernism, feminism, and critical theory. These are the approaches that commonly taken by scholars that publish in high-ranked journals, because they see the same issue from critical aspect of it. They want to add a fresh, basically, perspective to the issue from multiple angles. So in the next slide, we're going to have a quick look at the postmodernism, basically, approach that's been taken by mostly critical accounting scholarship. And what is it all about? It is all about seeing the societal phenomenon from the different aspects, critical view to the something that's been discussed before. So if you want to see an issue from a new angle, that's kind of like a fresh look or fresh perspective that gives it differentiated basically from all other researchers. That is quite important because we've seen people or some scholars trying to repeat the similar kind of research that's already published in some journal. They want to repeat exactly the same thing in another concept. So those kind of approach could be seen as not very innovative approach. If you just want to repeat the same question or same style, it may not be seen as original or significant contribution. Whereas if we have our own approach, if we take a critical perspective, new angle to the same issue, we could actually stand out among all the submissions that the journal is going to receive. Basically, many of the postmodernism approach is all about critical view towards the same issues, providing critics to accounting practices. One of the approach is that could be taken and been published a lot in high-rank journal is taking the feminism approach. Why is that? Because we could see the same issue, the same problem from a gender lens. What would be the gender role in that kind of a specific societal challenge that we are dealing with? In the next slide, we're gonna see how we take the gender lens in the same similar issue to make it quite appealing to high-ranked journals. Critical theory, if you have a look at the critical perspective on accounting, any journals publishing CPA, basically you're gonna see that critical theory, it's been known and used significantly within those journals. At least we need to have understanding of the critical theory. We need to study critical theory, how to write and use kind of all these approaches in order to have a successful publication. I highly recommend all of us actually have a good look at the reading of this kind of theory that suggests the postmodernism critical perspective. Even if we do the quantitative research, that enhances the writing as well, how we see the same issue from a novel angle and enhance the contribution of the study. So refining the research question to refining the idea to the researchable questions, we decide on the area that we want to focus. It could be climate reporting, it could be gender equality, etc. In order to formulate a successful research question, I highly recommend that we have a focus. So the most high-ranked journal, they want to have a clear focus, clear message, and in-depth analysis, as opposed to have a broad overview of the a corporate governance kind of like for example, my area is corporate governance. But if you want to publish in corporate governance, you have to select an angle, like a focus, and a study in depth, as opposed to have a broad overview of the topic. Originality for publication, originality is really important, especially for high-ranked journals, and feasibility. So sometimes we come up with some research question, we think that no one else in the world has done that. This question is going to be a great idea, but we have to understand whether the data is available, if it's feasible. Maybe the question hasn't been done before because it was not feasible. That said, it's also an opportunity if we have some unique data, especially from like your country, like South America is the country, South America is the area that lots of high-ranked journals, they want to see actually publication or articles receiving from this area because of the unique practice. So it's an opportunity, I see it as an opportunity for you guys to share your articles with unique focus of the area that, or unique practice that you could see, say, in South America or in Brazil. So that's gonna be enhancing the chance of the publication and the contribution of the study, especially if you discuss it or workshop it in some international kind of conferences or workshops that before receiving feedback from the audience. We discussed this later, but then methodological pathways, qualitative research and quantitative research, in order to have a high chance of publication, methodology has to be so robust for publication. If it's qualitative, the reviewers and editors would like to see a strong qualitative approach or high understanding of the qualitative methods that's used. Lots of people who are the reviewers or editors of the qualitative journals, they are very much familiar with the variety of the qualitative approach, and they really want to see high level of understanding of the qualitative approach for publication. The same with quantitative. With the quantitative, different publications, they have all of the publication on all of the journals. They want to have a rigorous kind of articles to publish in their journal. As a result, the robustness of the study is quite important, the methodology aspect of it. Expertise alignment. My recommendation is that, say you have the qualitative research, think of collaborating with qualitative researchers who are well known in the area, who know the method very well. So think about collaborating with qualitative researchers and also or topic experts. The authors who publish in the same journal using the same similar methodology are seen as experts by the editors and mostly editors, because reviewers not going to be they don't know who are the authors, but from writing, you can clearly see the expertise from the writing and the way that we formulated the methods or analysis. So collaboration is with experts of the topics or methodology is quite important. The same with quantitative research. If you collaborate with people who are expert in you are using, that enhance the chance of publication as well. So now we had some kind of a theoretical background. I would like to share with you some of my publications that give you some idea how basically where those ideas coming from and how we basically formulated the research question. I would like to start with the interplay between home and host logics of accountability in multinational corporations, the case of Bandao Dam disaster. Probably you're all familiar with it. So it is basically paper published in AAAJ. It's one of the highest ranked journals. And the whole idea started when last time I visited Rio. It was 10 years ago. We had a chat with some of the local people here and everyone talking about this disaster. You may be familiar with it. But as you see, it's all environmental disaster. It's coming from something that, you know, it was a debate at the time. When I was having a chat with some locals reading the news about it, I noticed that such a great idea, such a contribution to the literature it could be to have a paper about it from the accountability aspect of it. Given that like some multinational corporations been involved, and I could see from the accountability perspective, there been basically competing logics in different parts of the organization at play that could add value to the body of the literature. So the theory that we work, the theory that we use in order to analyze the case study was institutional logics and multiple institutional logics that we use for this paper. Again, the co-author sitting here, Dr. Winston Licudo de Castro. So he helped with translation. That is very important. That's why we're talking about collaboration, because lots of the documents were in Portuguese, and you get help with translation of the documents, and also basically going through the documents as well. The next study was related to, again, COVID-19, another kind of a challenging time. Lots of journals been looking for COVID-19. I think it was a special issue by AAAJ on the impact of the COVID-19. What we did in that, I remember it was probably all of us remember about the job losses at the time, that all over the world, lots of people losing jobs. And then it gave myself this idea of the ethical aspect of basically these job losses. So we used a strong theoretical perspective, which is the moral impulse and interplay of distancing, dehumanization, and a reduction to trade in order to analyze basically the whole consideration of the businesses on job losses and ethical aspect of it, moral aspect of it. Again, journals like AAAJ, they are basically, it's going to be very well, they receiving very well the qualitative research case study that have very strong theoretical framework supporting that. So again, understanding of the journal is quite important. The next paper is related to corporate governance in its understanding multiple accountability logic within corporate governance policy discourse, resistant compromise, or selective coupling. Again, something that you see here is the strong conceptual foundation that we use, which is like a strategic responses and multiple logics of accountability that we use to analyze the corporate governance policies at macro level. That paper is published in European Accounting Review, which is another high-ranked journal. The next study is related to gender diversity on board of directors, comprehensive analysis of female directorate networks, and the linkage between business and performance. As you see, it's the next paper, which is published in Meditary, which is another high-ranked journal, has a gender lens. But again, we use the gender lens on a very strong theoretical foundation, which is understanding the multiple directorships on the board of directors to analyze what would be the impact on the performance. Something specific about this paper is that the mixed method. At the start, I had a quantitative approach, but then reviewer wanted in-depth analysis to hear from the board members, and I added some interviews that get additional information, in-depth analysis from the board of directors, female board of directors, to understand the impact of the business on their performance and what would be their view on that. Again, as you see, you use the gender lens in order to deal with an issue that gives a new angle, new aspect to the study that enhance the contribution of the study. The next study is again around gender diversity. That said, it's coming from the same problem when we're talking about problematization. Gender equality, at this time that we started working on this paper, there were lots of policies around gender diversity, but then a new question came in place. All these policies are in place, but why we don't see change, or at least lots of people think that the change is not there yet. You're not there yet. Why the problem is not being solved? When we did some further analysis, we noticed that the problem might be in implementation of the strategy within the organization. So as you see, we start the research with a real problem, real world problem, but we use the theoretical string theories in order to analyze the basically the issue. And the last paper that I want to share with you is related, actually, Justin is my PhD student. He graduated a year ago, and for his PhD, he actually did social media reviews and the basically conceptual framework that we use, again, something that is quite actually consistent is use of the very strong conceptual framework all around these papers. This one is all around the strategic responses framework that's coming from acquiescence to defiance, compromise, and manipulation. And we're going to see the responses to COVID-19 using the social media accounts of corporations. All right, now we're talking. After providing these examples, we want to talk about the importance of understanding of journals and their audience. So we need to see the journals as conversation. We have to join ongoing debates of the journal. From editors or reviewers' perspective, like each journal, probably you know they have editorial boards. And editorial board, they have some expectation. When they receive the articles, even the editors or then reviewers, they have some expectation for that journals. So if you don't tick the boxes for those expectations, they may actually think that you don't fit, the paper does not fit that journal. So understanding of the journals is very important. For example, critical perspectives on accounting CPA, you can see the name, it's critical perspective. They actually look for critical kind of arguments within the paper. If you don't have critical argument, probably it's not critical perspective CPA may not fit your paper. It doesn't mean that your paper is not a high quality, but something they're looking for, it's a paper with critical nature. AAAJ, I published a few papers there, highly qualitative. So if you have a highly quantitative paper, it might be amazing paper, but AAAJ might not be the best fit for that paper. So don't get disappointed if first don't send your paper to the journals that just randomly. You have to have understanding of the journal, what they look for, and don't get disappointed if it's not, it's just rejected. It's not necessarily mean that you have a bad paper. It may not fit the scope of that journal. AOS, basically, they favor like a mixed method, high qualitative research, and very sophisticated kind of theory and method. I'm serving as an editor for issues in accounting education. They accept all sorts of methodology, quantitative, qualitative, and also basically I'm dealing with mostly the qualitative one. But something, for example, that I can share with you, in issues we accept teaching cases. So thank you so much. We accept teaching cases. For example, if you have good practice, teaching a case study that actually you use in your teaching practice and it's innovative, you can possibly kind of like follow some guideline. There is a specific guideline how to write it, and then you can submit to issues. Again, necessarily, my understanding is that the accounting education journal is another education journal. They not necessarily accept like a teaching cases. So understanding of the journal is really important. What they accept. For this journal, for example, we have a specific guideline. If the reviewer received this paper, if we receive this paper that's not following the guideline for teaching case, so basically it may be rejected because it shows that the authors do not have understanding of the journals and journals reader. So what high-ranked journals value? The most common, reasons behind any rejection are contribution and methodology. So the higher-ranked journal, they want to see significant contribution to the literature. What is new, and as we mentioned in the first slide, using a unique angle, using innovative theoretical perspective can add value to your research. You're just going to show that you see or examine the issue from a fresh and unique perspective. The reader, the methodology, it doesn't matter methodology is qualitative or quantitative. The higher the rank of the journal, they need a strong methodological perspective and support for methodology. For example, we've seen papers that submitted, they explain, I did this, I did that, and not providing citation for the analysis or method or not sufficient support for the method, or they're missing some key analysis. That sort of thing can result in rejection of the journal, depends on the issue. The fifth, alignment with journal style and community. Again, each journal, they have the editorial boards that they basically know the journal very well. They're receiving all the papers and they want to see the authors, they know the journal. And how that comes to if you want to enhance the publication in those journals, we need to read those journals, especially the a recent issues published in this journal. We need to read those journals. In the next slide, I can actually provide some tips on how to enhance the fit of our research to journals. So structuring a scholarly paper, so depends on the journal. We may take different structure for our paper, but then the reason that I have this slide is that, yes, sure, please.
I have to ask you here. Okay. So, Anderson, so you are Maryam, is that right? Okay, so Maryam, I've already heard in class, discussed in class about some beneficial read articles for a specific journal. Like I'm a student here, so Vinicius is my professor, and we are always talking in class about how we could be create something unique. But I'm here, it's my second semester, so I still have the same difficulties. So I would like to ask you how I would innovate if I were checking how the journals are publishing. Because I think that if you are checking how the journals are publishing, so you have the same ideas, but how I could innovate checking the others' articles, reading articles.
That's such a very thank you so much for your question. That's a key for any PhD student. So even like in Australia, the first year, the students actually trying to read the articles and try to find a gap in literature and find a unique aspect. This is challenging, but that's why you get PhD for. So that's the critical thinking behind it. So that's it's supposed to be challenging. But what I would do, when you can actually, for any PhD students, you have to know the topic area you want to focus first. And I suggest reading as many papers, from the history. Because For the people who are already in the topic, expert in a topic, they probably know the literature behind any topic. So for myself, probably I read the most recent literature because I'm kind of familiar with the, the previous literature. But for the PhD students, you need to take more time to get yourself familiar with the previous, like a literature that existed in this area. But I would focus on the recent literature in my topic, and lots of that. The most papers, they have the suggestion for future research. So with the suggestion with future research, they give you some idea which area that kind of suggested for future research. Sometimes those suggestions for future research might be, you may not have access to data to, to be able to do those research, but that's require you read more of those literature and have understanding of the databases. Again, with quantitative research, you need to have data as well. And if you want to have a unique aspect, this is my personal suggestion, is that you can have a look at what is unique in, say, in Brazil that is different from all other the world. So, or what kind of unique data you can access. And the other thing is, lots of the data, such a good point. Mostly the data that you hand collect that generate a new, basically, new research question as well. So I remember myself that for quantitative research, I focus on qualitative these days, but with quantitative, the data is important, and for qualitative, the data is important as well. For majority of my papers that got new angle, the data is quite new. So either we generate the new data by like a qualitative research, is like an interview with people and asking the questions, or with quantitative approach, lots of hand-collected data. But that required you also having understanding of the databases. So first, with my PhD student, I'm always telling them, have a good understanding of the data that is available in major databases, so you don't hand-collect the data that is already available and everyone can access it easily. But if you have access to some sort of data that is unique, that results in a new aspect or new research project as well. But again, this is challenging, but it is possible if you have this mindset that it's really possible, especially having a look at the future research, because the research is keep going and going. So again, we go back to the first slide that there are lots of contemporary challenges that we haven't dealt with yet. For example, ChatGPT just arrived recently, and lots of research in education, in other areas, they're focusing on ChatGPT, generative AI. It's a really new area. So if you have some access to some data, you can actually elaborate on that as well. But this is just suggestion. My point is there are lots of new debates that emerging that they really new, and you can actually deal with that because they just new. Yeah, I hope I answer your question, and hopefully as we go through the slides, I can add some more information.
The discipline, and Professor Aline was my professor last semester, and I made this. I checked the future for the suggestion for future research, and the last semester we prepared an article with gender diversity, gender, ethical, culture. And the future research suggestion was about adding this kind of topic. And I know how to do it. because I prepared the article with Professor Adini, and it was very important. So I think I am in a good way. I think I'm right. I'm doing right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. All right, and all the best. Very rare methodology, finding evidence-based, theoretically link. So it is very common for the high-ranked journal that something that I actually seen a lot in high-ranked journal is that we use the theory, not only in theory section, but we use the theory when we actually analyze the findings, or basically when we kind of discussing the finding as well. Critically engage with the literature, how to add value to the literature is quite important to add value to our research. And in discussion and conclusion, again, we need to critically engage with the literature, and also we need to include implication, future suggestion for future research, and limitations of the study. Common pitfalls, editor's observation, submitting to the wrong journal. We discussed it already. We need to understand the journal and submit to the right journal. So sometimes it's good to have the journal in mind before we writing for the paper. The reason is that because we need to include the references from the same journal. We have to show understanding of the journal. We have to get engaged with the literature from that journal. And we need to make sure we add value to that journal as well. Again, remember the editorial board, the editor, they actually have a good understanding of the journal and they want to add something new to that journal. Weak or unclear contributions. Sometimes in our mind, we may think that we actually add value, there is a gap there, but especially when we are going through the review process, we have to make sure we put the contribution up front for the reviewers and the editor to see it up front, how we add to the prior literature. Poor writing or structure. Writing is very important. None of the editors or reviewers, they would like to basically accept any paper that is considered not well written. So one of the questions that reviewers need to answer in the box is that if the paper is well written. If it's not well written, the chance of not going through is really high. So make sure that you submit a paper that's quite well written, well structured, format is good, so it's ready for submission. Insufficient engagement with literature, outdated literature. For example, we talked about the suggestion for future research. Make sure you don't get the suggestion for future research from paper published in 2000, because now 20 years after that, there are lots of papers might have published that or addressed that future research. If you want to have a look at the suggestion for future research, have a look at the 2025. Or say that there is a call for research, but that call needs to be very updated, not really outdated. And also engagement with literature, especially from the journal you're sending to. So if you don't engage, because one of the area that reviewers or editor have a look is the reference list. They want to know that you kind of engage appropriately with the articles published in that journal as well. Methodological underdevelopment, it's very important. Methodology contribution are two main reasons a paper could be rejected. So it's very important that methodology is kind of rigorous, sophisticated, and also, again, it goes back to understanding of the journal. I knew this journal that they wanted. If you have a look at the papers published in that journal, for example, they always expected 9 tables for quantitative research. So it's kind of the style of the journal, about 9 tables. So it's really good that we have understanding of the journals. We make sure that, and it's going to be evaluated that way by the reviewers as well. If they receive something that they feel like doesn't fit the journal, that may be result in rejecting the paper. Overclaiming without evidence, that is another actually interesting point. Sometimes we say that we add, like even with the contribution, we can actually claim that the paper is unique, it's the first paper that we investigate this research. But if the editor or reviewer, they already seen multiple papers that done exactly the same thing, it may impact their opinion about your paper, saying that this is not really new. So make sure that when you claim something, this is not overclaim. You can say that it's adding value or extending literature by this specific factor or a specific way that it adds the previous literature. Good scholarly practice, build a portfolio of the project. If you are seen as an expert in a topic, the chance of acceptance or giving you a chance for the high rank journal is higher because you're already seen as a person who published in that journal or already published an article in a high rank journal with this methodology. So you already know the method. So it's very important for editors to know that you know the method, you know their journal, and it's coming from the fact that you publish in that journal or one of the authors published in that journal as well. Collaborate, that's why it comes with the collaborate strategically. People who publish in those journals, you can collaborate with them. Or who are expert in the methodology that you're using. It's going to be seen as expert being on that project. Seek feedback early. That is very important. Please consider workshopping your papers, especially in international conferences. People sitting in a room, they have expertise, especially if they have expertise, who can provide kind of suggestions for improvement. We do lots of this workshopping ground back in Australia, a lot. So that is quite important and key part of basically coming with a very well-developed paper. Read journal articles critically, have a look at their structure, style, arguments. You're gonna see differences, but from now on you can pay attention. Each journal and the style and basically a structure of the different journals could be different. Pay attention to that as well. If you read the articles, or if you want to target some specific journal, make sure that you understand the style of that journal. Follow author's guideline carefully. Make sure that you follow. It may feel like we're all following it, but that's very important. As I mentioned earlier in issues, we accept teaching cases, but even with teaching cases, we have a few pages of guideline which basically headings we want to see, how we want that case need to be written. So if you don't follow that, if we see a paper following everything as explained, it just feels like, it feels really good by reviewers and editors, knowing that the author is following the guidance that is provided to them. Engage in networking with editors and reviewers, again, through the conferences, or if you have a chance to have a chat with the editors or reviewers of the journal, that would be a fantastic idea to discuss your research with them. It's a great, actually, opportunity to make sure that basically you are developing your paper for that specific journal, or at least for high-ranked journals. Let's have a quick look at the publication process, editorial perspective from the desk review to peer review, revision, and decision. Basically, the major reason for desk rejection is poor fit. If the editor sees that this paper hasn't been written for this journal, it hasn't been engaged with that journal. The style doesn't match the journal. Also the contribution. In the first slide, for example, from the editor's perspective, they're receiving like 100 of climate reporting. So they have a good understanding of the type of the climate papers that they're receiving. So they need something that makes them feel like this is different. And you have to put it in front for them to see that your contribution is it's something new and adds value. Revise and resubmit is very important. If you receive revise and resubmit, it means that editor wants to give you a chance, both reviewers want to give you a chance. From the editor's perspective, it is very important that the authors get engaged significantly with the comments received from the reviewers. If I want to share my experience in one of the cases, the reviewers, they basically gave a major revision, but the second round of review, one of the reviewers was really upset and coming back to us. They can send us the confidential messages mentioning that, like, I was quite frustrated because the authors basically dismissed most of the comments that I provided to them. So please understand, they are human, reviewers are human, they spend lots of time to give you the feedback, and they want authors to be engaged significantly, not just like adding a sentence somewhere here or there just to address the comment. It's very important in any way that the authors show that they appreciate the time and comments they receive, and they do their best to address those comments. So basically, revise and resubmit is an opportunity, and we should make sure we present revisions professionally and clearly. So what we should do is study the journal, understand aim, scope, and recent issues. Please make yourself familiar with the recent issues of the journals. Target the journal early. That makes you have understanding of the type of literature that you basically want to cite, and make sure that you write aligned with the basically journal. Highlight contributions clearly, very important. At the front, provide transparent methodology. Rigorous methodology is very important. For example, for some quantitative research, reviewers want to see like an indigeneity. So if its indigeneity analysis is missing, they may, depends on a reviewer, they may suggest rejection because it's not rigorous. They consider rigorous. They may give a chance, but don't risk that. Make sure that the paper is ready for submission before you submit. That is very important, guys. Just don't lose the chance on a journal by submitting the paper too early. Craft a strong narrative and respond constructively to reviewers. Again, make sure that you show reviewers that you respect their comments and you make significant changes, real significant changes addressing their comments. Don't submit with anywhere papers. I've seen a lot. You get rejections and then you submit it quickly to another journal. So this is not working. It just causes frustration because you get rejection, another one getting rejection. It just shows that you don't engage with that journal. Again, it's all going back, all the editorial board editors, they have some kind of a style in their mind. So if you don't write for that specific journal, you may get rejected. Maybe not because your paper is not as strong, because you're not writing the same style as expected for that specific journal. It maybe requires some changes, adding some literature, but take that time before submitting too early. Don't hide contribution. Don't think that, you know, I already know the contribution, it's there. Just put it up front, make sure it's realistic contribution. Don't theorize, So theory is very important for high-ranked journals. Theory is quite important. Just don't put it at the front. If you want to enhance the paper, I suggest even in analysis, engage with the theory as well. Like make sure that you critically engage with literature throughout the paper and theory. Don't ignore recent literature, that is important. Again, we go back to the suggestion for future research. You want to say that it adds value to the prior literature, but you have to understand, you have to have understanding of the recent literature as well. So they want to see, not because 2024 or 2024, 2025 as a recent literature, just because you want to say that you add to the prior literature. And knowing the literature, updated literature is quite important. Don't neglect formatting or reviewers' feedback, that is quite important. We discussed that already. Some emerging opportunity. Before we talk about the registration-based editorial process that we offer at eTools, basically, I would like to emphasize the opportunity of the special issues. There are many special issues that have been offered by many high-ranked journals and gives you, like for example, you're asking about which area. Look at the special issues of the high-ranked journals. They give you exactly the area they want you to, receive the papers, especially like gives you the area. So that helps a lot. If you can actually check which area that you can find the data or fit your domain of the study and get some idea about that area. And the special issues are quite basically updated because it's the area they really want to receive the paper. So in addition to the special issues that gives you some idea for research, and some of them, they've been written very well. They give you exactly the research focus they want to see. So this is a good suggestion. Going back to your question, in issues, we have register-based editorial process that is the two-stage review that allow the authors to submit proposal in a first stage, and if it's accepted, they can actually get conditional kind of acceptance. So this is quite actually basically interesting process. It's a kind of an emerging initiative for issues and some other high-ranked journals. That said, there are guidelines available and or will be available for updated, should be available soon for 2025. We accept qualitative and quantitative approach or methodologies for that, but it's something that you can consider as well. The whole idea is that for enhancing the publication, we need to understand the journals, the initiatives, the special issues, or any focus that different journals having to receive papers. Closing reflections and some key takeaways: developing research idea from problematizations to refining the idea, and most importantly, one aspect would be to connect with contemporary debate as well. That is something that lots of high-ranked journals wants to be engaged with contemporary debate. Targeting journal, we have to have understanding of the scope of journal, style, and audience. Again, some journals are qualitative focused, some journals quantitative, some journals are mixed method. Criteria for success, contribution of the study is very important, and methodology to be rigorous. And basically for publishing journey, persistence is very important. Don't submit the journal, the paper too early into the journal. And if you need to make changes, take some time to make the changes, refine the paper, and hopefully and target the next journal basically with understanding of the scope of the journal and the style of the journal, and hopefully you're going to be successful eventually. Thank you for your attention. That's all. And questions are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maryam.
I hope it was helpful.
If someone is on YouTube, we are open now for questions, so you can write your question. Andrea will help us reading the question files in YouTube. And I open for everyone here if you want to ask some questions. Let's start so with Natalia.
Hi, I'm Natalia. I'm a doctoral student here, and I would like to hear your thoughts about acknowledge seminal works, because I know that it's important cite update papers, especially to engage with contemporary debates and those kinds of things. But I think sometimes we need to balance and bring to your work when this discussion started and how these arise. And so I think sometimes it's important, but I would like to hear your thoughts if you can share with us.
So, do you mean the background of the discussion, or?
I mean like seminal papers, like old authors that start the discussions and like old reference, but that old reference that it's important authors for the theories and for the background.
So that's very important. So what is your question? So you want to have a balance with the old and new kind of thing?
Yes.
So, but that is required to the method as well. Like, again, it's coming from such a good question. I think I mentioned briefly that you need to know something. Actually, I can add here. You need to know at least the key. If you, for example, you want to engage with the contemporary debate, you need to know the key references in that topic. You have to understand or identify the key references. So if you want to focus on some journal, maybe look at that journal and the key references in that specific journal. But that's something for a PhD students, you can actually discuss this with your supervisors as well to help you identify the key references in that journal. Because I understand that there are lots of literature all around the same topic, but there are some some papers in any topic that they are key. So you have to have that understanding. Again, then you can actually show the basics and then engage with the contemporary debate as well. That is gonna be something that, if you ask me, for example, I always tell my PhD students, have a look at these high-ranked journals in the same topic, have a look at the citation, you know, like how many citations they have, the higher citation. It's some indicative of key journals in that topic that show that you understand from the basic, and then you engage with the contemporary debate as well.
Okay,
I hope it answers your question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just say, first of all, thanks a lot. I mean, me and Vinicius, we do the course of how to publish in international journals, so your presentation was perfect. And was the opportunity also to rethink a little bit on where we are in this challenge, I would say. So I don't know if you can show the slide 12, which I think, or 13, where you say the main gaps that you have to fit in order to reach the goal. The first gap that we tried to make the
Is it this one?
13, I think. Let us see. Okay, I think is the previous one. The previous one. Okay, this one. The first, I don't know if Vinicius is agree. The first one that we have is the language barrier, because for us, of course, it's hard since we are not English native. And I think it's, all the scholars approach our discipline are aware of the fact that they have to publish in English, and basically we made them understanding that since the literature is all international and the literature represents 40% of the paper, it not makes sense, or probably it's unproductive to change it to Portuguese to then rechange in English. So I would say that the first goal it's okay. Then we have but we lost the page. Okay. Then we have to build a portfolio of projects. I think that from this point of view, I think we're right. We're okay in the sense that there are a lot of researchers, young researchers, PhD students, older researchers. So I would say that they have short, medium, long-term projects. Short, medium, long-term, it's always hard to think about in this part of the world. But seek feedback early. I would say okay. We all participate to workshop, round and conferences. The only issues that are local, but of course there is a constraint in terms of money to do internationally. But there are a lot of workshop international which are online. We simply are not accustomed to participate. Probably something that we should incentivate more. Follow other guidelines is a minor issue. I hope that we follow it. But I think that where we are really, we have to work and read journal article critically, structure, style, and argument. It's always important, but it's a homework that we have to do. There is nothing exogenous. Where I think we have to do really a big quantum leap is in collaborate strategically with peers, because we are not accustomed to think internationally. I always say to our students that if they saw that there is a researcher which is studying your topic, to contact him. We know that professors are almost crazy or totally crazy, so they are likely to respond to and not considering spamming mailing from abroad, or sometimes to try to understand which one of the authors is the youngest to approach him or her, of course. So I think this is very important, because the other constraint that we think to have is Brazil, which we think it's under-evaluating internationally, which is a minor issue. Brazil it's a big country, 220 million persons, enormous, with some specialty, I think Amazon, for instance. So we have an appeal that we have to try to leverage on. So this is important, and we have to try to always try more to peers on that. And the last one is something that I see internationally is done frequently, to engage with editors and reviewers, which is something that we don't do. We are, I would say, 20% of the potential. Probably we didn't in the past because was not a differential in the sense that journals were locally, very few of them were indexed by a great indexer, but now that almost dying local journals is something that we have to do yes or yes, as the Argentinian says. And so I think the most, out of the six, I think that the two things we have to work on are collaborate strategically with peers and engage in networking with editors and reviewers, which is something that we have to work with. But in any case, thanks a lot, because your presence here and of Vicente também, of course, goes in this way. So we're happy to do it. Okay.
It's really my honor actually to be here, and thank you for invitation. And you just evaluated perfectly. And I just need to add one thing that well, Portuguese is not like English is main language for the international research. I see it as actually opportunity. One of the main examples that I provided was like this case that was unique in Brazilian context, and actually Vicente helped me with translation from Portuguese to English.
Now, also because we have unique data set of information.
Exactly.
And by the way, as we notice, I would say, at least in the quantitative journals, I mean, 80% of the works are cross-county. So cross-county, who knows better than us, the Brazilians? So,
Right.
so I mean, we should add to an international teamwork the Brazilian angle. So, I mean, we have something that to give in change to an international partnership.
That's exactly right. And from editor's perspective, I've been engaged in many editorial discussion, and they really want to see more papers from Brazil or South America. They always say that, like, before I'm coming here, I was in contact with our editorial board and chief editor, and they want to see more submission, but higher quality, like a high quality submission from Brazil due to being a unique data set. And I see it as an opportunity that you guys got advantage of translation from Portuguese to English and good understanding of the environment as well. But then this workshopping gonna add great value, because you would know when you talk to international audience, they can tell you which part is very unique and interesting and has potential for publication or international appeal as well. Yeah, that's great. Future looks really good. All the best.
This point about the networking, I have two students, that think they want to stay 1 year outside Brazil. How much easier it is to go to Australia, and for a professor to have some network there, how easier it is or how difficult it is to go to an Australian university?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for visiting a scholar perspective, I think that if the head of the schools generally in Australia, they support, it's basically you require support from the head of the schools, and that coming from the networking as well, like, you know, attending international conferences, workshops, being known to people internationally. I consider networking is very important in that aspect. And I understand that you've got a very major conference being held here next year. Vincent, critical perspective, CPA conference going to be here, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, the critical perspectives on accounting, I think, is going to be, is that right, Iago? It's going to be here in Praia Vermelha, yeah? Yeah, it's going to be here. Nice spot. Yes.
Yeah, so then you're going to have lots of key figures of, if you have a conference even in Rio, just please take advantage, attend and meet people and talk to people and, you know, present your ideas, and that is a great opportunity. These are the people that actually can support visiting and exchanging in the future as well. I think that's the great opportunity to have this building this networking. And going back to your kind of comments about the funding, it's happening around the world, but there are some workshops or brown bag that you don't even have to kind of pay any fees. like in accounting history. I'm a chair of the accounting history special interest group for Accounting and Finance Association of Australia and New Zealand. And I think in early November, we have a workshop that we accept the proposals, and the editor is going to be in attendance, and people like who are experts in accounting history is going to be there and provide comments. And timing might be a challenge, but I've seen people presenting from all around the world. Russia in it's probably 4 a.m. for them. But I think it's a matter of understanding of which key workshops happening at what time around the world. There are some that are free for charge as well, online. That's what we do to attract international audience and presenters as well. Actually, it's gonna be around 6:30 or 7 p.m. Australian time. We just do that to make sure that it's more convenient for the people from around the world. So these things happening in many areas. With American Accounting Association, I know that they have workshops as well for free of charge, but you just need to know the basically the workshops or brown bags or key one and attend. So attending is quite important as well, talking to key people and make that network going on. That would be very good actually for improving any work in progress as well, and opportunity for visiting scholars as well.
Maryam,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your presentation. I think it's very important for us because here in Brazil now we need to publish internationally, and I wonder how much we lose power too because of that. Like, I would like to know what do you think about it, because when you talk about AAJ and other papers that are from the United States, and I mean, you need to publish on these journals because these are the top journals in accounting. And in Brazil, we don't have any journal in accounting that's ranked very well, or well at least. And at least in Australia, you have like Australian Accounting Review, Accounting Business and Finance, Abacus, and others. But I'm pretty sure that you also have some journals that are not ranked as well as this one. And I wonder, I don't know what you think about it, but it's kind of like we lose some power, and we are actually in the hands of the other journals, in the other really countries, because one point that you mentioned here is that we need to engage with the editors, and at the same time we need to accept what they are asking you to change on your paper. So and you need to what you can lose with that, and what the I think what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that it's I see it as an opportunity. We've got Australian basically Australian-based journal as well, but if the journal wants to be high ranked, they need to actually think internationally as well. So, and I'm pretty sure from my conversation that I had with the editors of the journal, they want to receive papers from a Brazil. Yeah.
No, actually, my second point was can you give us the list of the journals that you said that they want to receive our papers? No, it's just a joke. But
no, but that is not a specific journal. I strongly believe that if you understand the journal and write this within the scope of the journal, there is no preference. No, there is no preference, and it could be opportunity for you guys, because again, going back to your comments that your data becoming new, and the people wants to hear about uniqueness of the Brazil, but you just need to write in a style and format of the journal. But you still can actually stick to your core research question. For example, one opportunity would be, for example, accounting history, and they do lots of accounting as a social practice. And then I assume that lots of unique historical features you can have in Brazil, and they want to hear from it. We keep hearing from this that they want to receive paper from South America or Brazil as well. I don't think it's losing any power, or I don't think, at least from my perspective, I don't think that the Australian-based journals, they favor Australian articles. That's pretty sure it is not the way. But the people are trained basically to publish or to write for that journal. But anyone can be trained. That was my message today, that just understanding a journal, it's not something that's unique to a specific country. As long as you...
Can I add something here, just for fun, Julian? Okay, sorry, it's not my presentation, I apologize for that. But what happens, like, when I try to publish here in Brazil, in Brazilian journals, I'm sorry, it's a pain. You submit, takes 8 months, 9 months, 1 year to get the parecer, to get the report from reviewers. So, no, I do apologize. I praise you guys. You guys did a wonderful job, but like I tried before and it was extremely frustrating. Okay, so what I've noticed it has happened here. Many people want to publish, very few people want to review. Okay, so what happens is that there's a lot of papers going around, not many people reviewing, and it becomes a massive bottleneck. So in this first stage, it looks like a bit disempowering that now you're going to submit your research to other papers, like to these foreign people. Okay. But what will happen gradually, as you're doing quality research there, gradually you'll be invited to be in the editorial boards of those journals, okay? And you learn the tricks of the trades, and they will learn how things work as well. And then in a few years, you're gonna have, like, when you submit there, it's gonna be reviewed by people who have the expertise about what is happening here in Brazil. So in the first stage, it's a bit daunting. But at least you'll be submitting, these international journals, they have those policies about, oh, there has to be a 3 months turnover, okay, or a 4 months turnover. So you're going to have an improve in the experience, it'll be less traumatizing, less stressful than what happens here in Brazil, okay? So in this first stage, I do understand, okay, I don't know those people, we still have to do all this network, understand how it works, but it's a process that's way, at least based on my experience, it's way smoother than what happens here. And then again, in the long term, you guys are going to start joining editorial boards, you're going to land in the expertise there, and then it become more of a friendly environment, okay? You do have some few Brazilians, it happens for me as instance, I'm not an editorial board, but when they submit stuff, oh, Vincent, that's Brazilian stuff, Brazilian data, please be one of the reviewers, okay? So it does have, so you're not exactly in a big disadvantage, because already some of those reviewers can be someone like myself that already, okay, I know how things work there, okay? So it's not as bad as it seems. But yeah, it's a different territory that you still have to work a little bit to get there. Yeah, sorry.
Now about our journals here, what's going to happen with our journals, you know? And yeah, instead of, yeah, I'm not sure what's the solution. That's why I put this topic here. And yeah, I don't know.
I can add something to that as well. Something that I have in mind, even I know that in Australia there is a good community that even the people following the guideline for international standards to be considered part of this international journal. You have to follow some, again, understanding of the international situation, how to join the ranking as well. So this could be something as collectively, like the academics, the faculty, they can focus on. If you want to present your own journal in international level, you have to understand what criteria need to be made, and maybe you follow that path, because even ranking of the international journals, that requires some activities that could be like a project for the people who are dealing with the journals as well, to make sure that you improve the rank of your journals as well. So that's something that happens actually in Australia as a community, not individually.
Yeah, I think it's like how to empower our journals here. What do you think?
Por causa da gravação.
Don't quote me on that one. Can you list the journal in Scopus? Because if you list the journal in Scopus, what's going to happen is that you can attract other international authors. Not exactly Australia or United States. Because you see what happens, if you see China, if you see India, if you see Bangladesh, all those people, they're having nowadays, due to ranking requirements, you can always discuss how bad are ranking requirements. I'm not going to go into this discussion, but those people, they must publish in Scopus, just like it's happening with you guys. It's happening loads of other people, loads of other countries, and way more than the amount of Brazilians. We talk about China, talk about India. If it's ranked in Scopus, okay, it's like if you build it, they will come, okay? Because these people, they are required to publish. Like, I cannot endorse there will be good quality research. And that's why then the editorial board has to have very good oversight, okay? I can tell because I'm in the editorial board, not an accounting journal, but it has happened this. Once it was listed in Scopus, when it got a Shimago ranking, it's like the gates open, but a lot of garbage comes in, okay? So then we have a better oversight because all pay-per-views and all those issues. But if you guys get it ranked in Scopus, there will be more people, not Brazilians, not Australians, not Americans, but they will become interested in publishing in the outlet, okay? Yeah, you become an international player because you have the badge.
And things like this. No, I think I'm going on.
No worries, that's a pleasure.
So, hi, Professor. First of all, I want to thank you for an excellent presentation, very insightful. I have just entered the academic world. I'm now in the second year of my master's degree. Thank you. But I often have the impression that sometimes these dynamics of site scores, top journals, they seek for the higher amount of citations. This dynamic sometimes ends up leading to a scenario where the publication itself is more important than the eventual contribution or the relevance that the study may have. And also the theoretical frameworks, the objective, the scopes, the research questions is also sometimes conditioned by what we think would be more publishable than what we think is more important. Especially here in Brazil, where we as a student and also the teachers are very demanded to always publish. And I think it aligns what you said during your presentation, which is a lot of research questions very similar with very small difference in order to have a chance to be published. So, of course, when you look to international journals, your range of options broadens. So it kind of helps this way. But as a researcher and as an editor, do you agree with this perspective? And how do you face this dilemma of wanting your article to be published and wanting a top journal in order to advance your career, but also maintain some authenticity to what you think is relevant, what you think is important? And the second question would be, Vinicius has already made it, but I will change a bit the question. He made the question of, how would I, as you did yourself sometimes in the past, I am also considering to spend some time abroad during my PhD. So Vinicius asked, how would I go to Australia? My question now would be, would you recommend me to go to Australia? What would be the positive and the negative of going there?
Oh, such a good question. The first question, actually, it's very interesting because this is out of our, from the, publish or perish, basically. It's kind of like something that, we all probably, this is not our opinion. I agree or disagree. It doesn't make any changes. That said, over the time, if I want to change, my approach, very, very, very personal approach, over the time, I learned a way that do the research that I like to do, but within the boundary of the journals and the scope of the journals that's going to be accepted. So I think this is something that you learn based on, you know, it's a very personal thing. So if you remember that when we went through my papers, you noticed that lots of, I like to deal with the societal problems, and there are journals that say those kind of articles gonna be well received. If it's theoretically, like kind of, it's a good theoretical foundation is that you add to it and critically use the literature, but that's the way I deal with it. So, but I think it's a personal way that you tackle the area or research that you like, but then you find kind of the journal that kind of fits the way that you write or tackle with that situation. I think that comes with experience and over the time and understanding of the journals, and make sure that you kind of, it might be a change of like a style of the writing, or making sure you target like a relevant journal. But I could get to that stage myself personally, to do a research that I like and target or find a journal that is going to be well received. Even like with the education, the reason actually I'm in education space is that my in-class, I started publishing my in-class basically innovative practice, but it was a journal that fits that kind of practice. You know, you write it in a way that matches the scope of the specific journal, and you publish it as well. But it was something that I was doing in class already. So I think it's all about understanding of the journals and targeting the journals, or changing the style a little bit to make sure that you target that journals. The other thing approach is that you want to tackle some important issue is I'm not sure about the funding here, like in Australia, you can actually collaborate with, but you can actually collaborate with the government or funding body in order to attract funds that works similar to publication. So if you bring funding into the university, but then it gives you opportunity to work with the third parties or in an area that you might be interested as well. So it's all about, in my personal view, that how you find a way to do something that it's important to you, but then also find a target journal for that. Regarding the visiting visiting a scholar kind of position, I highly recommend it for anyone. I talk about the networking. Like, sometimes even like I'm here on personal leave, and I'm just kind of thinking coming here and visiting you guys. So it's completely personal leave because my husband's family, they're from Brazil. But that's the part of the networking, going to presentation. It's nothing to do with funding. So I really highly recommend any opportunity for visiting a scholarship, meeting other people. They may become your collaborators. I do some of this research that I've done in Brazil with Accenture. I went to Canada, and then I collaborated with some people from York University in Canada that I've been visiting. These are all opportunity as academic. Gives you more opportunity to collaborate with more people, knowing more academics, and it's going to be helpful somehow, like in academic career. So highly recommend that in any way. Is it through visiting a scholar conference, attending conferences, brown bag, or any way of networking? It's highly recommended. I hope I answer your question.
Someone else?
most journals, as long as you fit the scope of the journal, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be, and then workshopping the paper is quite important. So you receive some early feedback and don't submit the paper before it's ready, because it may have potential, but if it's rejected from a journal, you can't send it back to the same journal. So you work the same. So because if it's rejected from the journal because it's underdeveloped, because if they call it as underdeveloped. So just don't submit the paper to any journal just to get feedback. If you want to get feedback, just send it to like a brown bag or conferences, not by the journals.
Do you have a question? Let me see. Let's see. My question is about the script data on qualitative analysis. Why do you recommend that you go directly to contribution, or, for example, we have to do a frequency analysis of words, for example?
Frequency analysis?
Of words, accounting words.
A textual analysis for qualitative,
This occurs because in Brazil we don't have the same level of investment. Yes. I think he's asking about the use of text analysis in qualitative research.
Textual analysis, I've seen it more for quantitative research. With the qualitative research, it's more about content analysis. So mostly the reviewers of the qualitative research, they want to see less numbers, basically. Not that we don't see the tables, but it's more about content analysis and qualitative. So if it's like a textual analysis, I've seen more in quantitative study. But then if it's quantitative, you have to have sophisticated analysis as well in tables, etc. But with qualitative, when you go further, something I can add, one of my PhD students, one of the paper, he did content analysis of like social media and some counting kind of simple tables as well, but it was supplemented by a strong other qualitative approach. So it's not only textual analysis for qualitative research, it doesn't fit very well. So I highly recommend, if you want to do textual analysis for qualitative, supplement it with, say, interviews or some other documental analysis, some other methods to be a part of the method, not the only method for qualitative research.
About that,
Yeah.
Roberto and I did a research about accounting fraud that you collect, I don't know, 500,000 tweeters, and we did the quantitative text analysis in reality to create groups for the words. After that, we went to the literature to, try to build a framework. And we sold that for the revisor, like a bottom-up approach of creating knowledge. Because in the accounting fraud, usually the academic look to the event and say, this is fraud because of 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, and we try to create with the analysis of tweets, how society see fraud, and if we could create another approach to explain, or another. In reality, we found another actor, because the society was more preoccupied with the watchdog, with the auditing parts of the accounting fraud, not exactly with the frauder or anything like that. And we did a mixed approach, I would say, a quality approach.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
We have more
Yeah.
very, very happy. We try, but people who the public today is not that time. Maybe because we don't have answers. We couldn't open, try to open our needs.
Yes, and we published in a Pacific Account Review about the tweets about COVID in Australia and the impact of the sentiment of these tweets in the social market.
Oh, that's quite actually interesting.
Yes, it's published in a Pacific Account Review.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well done.
Oh, we usually do a mixed bag of quality and quantity.
quantity.
Yeah, sometimes happens.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the mixed method, it just quite actually lots of works very well actually. Yeah.
Yes. Someone else want to ask a question? So, thank you, Maryam. It was amazing seminar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot. And we are going to be on YouTube of FACC and UFRJ forever with someone else.